Hi there. Welcome to the video update for West Grand School District for January 2019. Quite a bit of stuff to get to today, including what I think is a pretty exciting announcement. But before we do that, let's look back a little bit into December and remember our trivia question from them. If you recall, I asked you to identify the band that had to return a Grammy Award, and not only who was it, but why did they have to give it back. So congratulations to Jane Jansen for being the first one to bring the correct answer forward. The band was Milli Vanilli, and the reason they had to return it was how they were lip syncing, and they weren't even the ones who sang the actual song that won the Grammy Award. So if you remember Milli Vanilli, all I can say is I'm sorry. They were not very good, at least in my opinion. But that's a little bit of an editorial. So let's move forward. The things that I have to talk about today really are some processes and some things that are taking place in the district right now. Some of the more behind the scenes type of work that is pretty typical for January and February. But I still think it's important that everybody's aware of what we're working on, what the focus is, what the outcomes that we're hoping to see would be. So first and foremost, we have the calendar committee that has been formed. They will begin meeting later this month. Really, the key there, most of you know this, but every year we adopt a new calendar. The board adopts a new calendar for the coming year. I've had a lot of conversation with the board about this and also with some people who are on the calendar committee. And what I'd like to try and accomplish this year is actually adopting two calendars. That way we have one for 1920, but we also have one for 2021. And we don't have to go through this process every single year. I think it's going to help us with long-term planning. I think it's going to help you as individuals with your vacation planning and some of those types of things. I think just in the long run, we're all going to be real happy having a 2-year calendar. So we're going to at least try that process, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to accomplish that. Again, later this month, the calendar committee will come together. They're going to look at all the drafts of 2 different years worth of calendars that I've created for them. They're going to probably create some hybrids from there, send out the calendars for your feedback. They'll also put the calendars out for the community to give feedback on. And then come back together again in late February or very early March for the calendar committee to really get all that feedback, look at it, kind of crunch it down, and then make some modifications to calendars if necessary. And the final step in the process of the committee's work is to then get those calendars out specifically to Staffley for you to vote. Once those votes are tallied and determined, the calendars that receive the most votes will be the ones that I present to the board in March for them to adopt. And those will be the calendar that I recommend for them. So that's kind of how the process works. And as we get moving on that, when we send those calendars out for feedback, we'll make sure and include the names of the people who are on that calendar committee. That way you know who it is to easily go and visit with to give your feedback. Obviously, you can always visit with me about that. But it's sometimes, if it's the person right down the hallway from you or right around the corner from you or something like that, it's a little bit easier to just have some conversation with them. So we'll make sure and get that out there for everybody. And I'm looking forward to seeing this committee come together. We've got some really good people on the committee. I'm excited about it. The next thing really would be our budgetary process. As some of you know this, some of you may not, but budgetary process really is nearly a 6-month process. We've already had conversation with the board around some budgetary items that we have as priority going forward. The other pieces that tie in real heavily with it is a legislative session, because we ultimately don't know what our funding is going to look like for the coming year until that legislative session closes and the budget is set. We do feel pretty good about some things that are happening in the legislative session. In truth, I've already been down to the Front Range a couple of times for meetings on legislative items, and I'll continue to be going down there for a variety of different meetings. There's a lot of different bills that are related to education that are out there, not just the budget bills, but then some other things on accountability, and then some things on kind of how the funding model is calculated. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on all of those and advocating for the best interest of West Grand as we go forward. One of those things that you might have heard about, and it's been very prominent even back to the gubernatorial election, and that is full day kindergarten funding. Let me just give you a little bit of clarity on that. Yes, we already have full day kindergarten here in West Grand, but our students that are in kindergarten, the count of our students that are in kindergarten, in terms of budgetary dollars, we only get 0.58 of the amount that we get for every other student. So what the governor is lobbying for is to provide that full funding for every student in kindergarten if districts choose to do that. For us, obviously, that would be a real positive. There's a lot of other pieces that tie into that budgetary note that he's got, including some CPP or e-care slots for preschool students and just a whole lot of other stuff. I'm happy to sit and talk with anybody about that. I'm learning a tremendous amount about that early childhood stuff. But just be aware that $227 million allocated currently in the governor's budget proposal that would be specific for that. Then there's some other pieces related to education funding, a proposed $77 million buy down of the negative factor. And then, over the last several years, we've received across the state for rural education an additional $30 million. We're going to see where that one lands. It may be 30, maybe 50, may not happen. We really hope it happens. So those will be some of the pieces that I'm keeping a close eye on. If that kind of stuff really does interest you, please let me know. I'm happy to visit with you on that, get your input on that. I don't want to be, the sole voice for West Grand. So if you do have thoughts or find that stuff interesting, please let me know. Let's see. So just another little update, and this is completely unrelated to the other stuff I talked about, but if you don't have your voicemail set up or your voicemail is not active or not working correctly, please let your building principal or your supervisor know, or even just send Jimmy an email. We want to make sure that the communication that we have with our public is real positive and real easy. And sometimes we have people who want to leave a voice message for somebody and they don't even have a voicemail that is set up. You all have a voicemail inbox. You may not know it, but you do. So if you haven't already set that up, if you don't know how to check it, it's really important that you do. So please make sure check in with Jimmy on that. And the same thing with the website. Everybody should have a bio on the website. If you don't, again, talk to your building principal, talk to your supervisor, or just reach out to Jimmy and we'll get you all taken care of. We want to make sure that everything we have is accurate and easy for people to find on our shiny new website. It's not real new, it's almost a year old, but nonetheless, we want to make sure that it's good information that's there. The We Are West Grand talk show will return later this week. It took a little bit of a hiatus, but in the last episode, I had a West Grand High School student who was on the show. In this upcoming episode, I will be interviewing the students who have opened the Mustang Market at West Grand High, and then followed by two middle school students down here at West Grand Middle School who are responsible for getting the Coke machine here. And then we have some other student interviews coming up as well. And I do have a long list of teachers that I want to get on the show as well. So that'll be coming back later this week. I appreciate all of you who've been watching that. That to me is really just a great opportunity to showcase all the great things we're doing here in West Grand. I think it's easy for people to go to Facebook or whatever, online garage sale and say negative things. We got so many great things going on. I just want to do everything I can to really highlight you, your students, and just some of the really cool things we have going on. So if you have an idea for the talk show, just shoot me an email. I'll be honest with you, I've got about 8 or 10 ideas up on the board right now. I would love to have more. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll get that interview done tomorrow and hopefully have the show posted on Thursday. And then our middle school students, their show is going to post next week. So really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so I mentioned that I have what I think is a big announcement. I've hinted at this a little bit, and I've talked with a few people about this. But I would tell you, since August, something that I've been working on is trying to solve the issue that we have here in Kremling related to daycare, affordable daycare, and just accessible daycare. We have one licensed daycare provider here in Kremling. She's fantastic, but we only have one. And for a number of people, there aren't slots available. So we have applied for a grant, and we'll know in February whether or not we get that grant. We have some other financial pieces that we're working on out there. But the long and the short of it is we'll be opening an on-site daycare in August. Obviously, our employees will have preference first on access to those slots. My hope is that we'll have room for at least 4 under the age of 2 and at least 4 over the age of 2. There'll be some pieces related to Kremling Preschool for those students who go half day at the preschool. We should be able to take care of them the other half day. Just a lot of really exciting work. Michelle at Kremling Preschool has been absolutely amazing with helping me with this work. Megan Lockteff from Grand Beginnings has been an incredible partner. And then Robert Flake and Tiffany Freitag at Middle Park Health also have been huge supporters of this work. So excited to see that work get going, and really excited to get the lead teacher director position posted and filled, and really start the pieces moving forward. So if you have questions about that possibility, that item that we'll be putting in place, just stop by and see me. Shoot me an email, I'll come to you. I've told a lot of people this. I have learned more about early childhood education in the last 6 months than I ever thought I would know. So I have a long way to go, but I think I'm getting there. So I think that's a really exciting piece for West Grand. It's a huge thing for Kremling. Obviously a huge need, and those of you who've gotten to know me a little bit know that I'm the type of person that I'm not going to wait around for somebody else to solve the problem. I'm going to go get it done myself. So I'm excited about it. I didn't do this by myself by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of people involved in this, and we're hopeful that the grant comes through for us, and that some of the other grants that we'll be applying for come through for us. But long and the short of it, we've made it a very high priority. We've got some amazing young teachers here. We want to keep you here. We don't want you going anywhere else, and we certainly don't want daycare to be a reason that you're thinking that you may need to go somewhere else. So that's an exciting piece for us. So, okay, let's do the trivia question. For those of you who follow football, and you know I do, the New England Patriots made their 11th Super Bowl this past Sunday. I know, we're probably all rooting for the Rams. Sorry, Hannah. I'm not a Patriots fan. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. But anyway, so the Patriots have been to 11. This will be their 11th Super Bowl, which by far and away is the most of any team in the NFL. But your trivia question is not about the Patriots, but rather about the team that has the second most Super Bowl appearances. And the reality is there are 3 that are tied with 8 Super Bowl appearances. So here's your question. Who are they? Name all 3 of the teams who have 8 Super Bowl appearances. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's video. Thank everybody for watching, and I look forward to catching up with everyone and just continuing to see the amazing work you're doing. Thank you so much for all you do.